Right. I want to welcome everyone to our School of Physical Therapy virtual information session. I will let those that are joining us give them another minute to jump on. While that's taking place, I want to introduce myself. My name is Tammy Trainer. I am the Assistant Director of Admissions here at MCPHS on our Worcester campus. And I work closely with the School of Physical Therapy, and I'm very excited to be here today. I also want to introduce someone who's going to be joining us, and we are in for a huge treat. We have Dr. Ridingsworth. If you would go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Sure. My name is Dr. Jessica Radingsword. I've been with the School of Physical Therapy here at MCPHS for about 2.5 years. And I've been on admissions ever since I started. This year, I am taking over kind of the management of the committee on the SOPT side. So I'm looking forward to some exciting changes and getting to know all the candidates over the course of the next, 5 to 6 months. In the program, I am responsible for teaching our cardiovascular and pulmonary patient management, as well as management of complex cases and acute care. And I hold certifications in cardiovascular and pulmonary therapy, as well as geriatric physical therapy.
All right, excellent, excellent. So we're definitely pleased that you all could join us today to discuss all things physical therapy at MCPHS. So during the session, we are going to talk about, of course, our institution as a whole. We'll talk about the DPT program and its structure, how to apply, admissions requirements, and hopefully at the end, we will have some of our student ambassadors joining us. So that way you can talk specifically with current students and get their perspective on a few things. But I do want to say this before we get started. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, if you can please place them in the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen. You'll see Q&A. Just put your question in there and we will definitely answer those questions for you at the end of the presentation, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. Again, we are Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, and today we're going to be talking about the Doctor of Physical Therapy program. All right, so I want to start out by talking about did you know? These are kind of some fast facts about our institution. So healthcare is a great field to get into right now. Not only is healthcare one of the largest employers in the United States, but with an aging population, job openings are projected to increase over the next decade or so. MCPHS is a healthcare specific university offering 100 programs in different healthcare fields. So healthcare is definitely our specialty. Many of our faculty have clinical sites where they have affiliations, which means that we are up to date on the current healthcare system. Additionally, all of our students are working towards other healthcare professions. We've also been around for quite some time. Looking at our screen, you'll see that we celebrated last year our 200th year anniversary, our bicentennial. And so we have been established since 1823, and we're known as the oldest university in Boston and the second oldest pharmacy school in the country. So we definitely have longevity and have stood the test of time for sure. Also, we have around 7,500 plus students that are enrolled from all 50 states as well as 74 countries. That is huge when it comes to diversity. I think that's really, really great. And then in regards to our clinical affiliations, we are proud to say that we have affiliations in the world-leading medical institutions, including Brigham and Women's Hospital, Massachusetts General Hospital, Boston's Children's Hospital, just to name a very small fracture of clinical affiliations. And then last but not least, there is the statistics from the U.S. Bureau of Labor from 2023 talking about physical therapy and how it is projected to grow 14% from 2023 to 2033, which is much faster than the average for all occupations. So you are definitely on the right road to a successful future. All right, so this next slide kind of answers the question, why MCPHS? So we are currently #1 in the nation for earning power. So what that means is MCPHS graduates are trained for high-paying careers in high-demand fields. And we have been ranked #1, which is totally, it blows my mind. It's such an amazing, and we're definitely proud of that. At MCPHS, we believe the true value of a college education is what your degree does for you after graduation, which is why we are proud to prepare students for exciting and fulfilling careers in the health sciences. We empower our graduates to take advantage of the exponential growth of the healthcare industry, where 1 in 3 new jobs will be created through 2026, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Worcester. So our Doctor of Physical Therapy program is located in the city of Worcester. Worcester is the second largest city in New England, with over 200,000 residents and 38,000 college students. Yes, I'll read that number again, 38,000 college students, with at least 11 colleges and universities in Worcester alone. So Worcester definitely has a huge, diverse clinical opportunity sites that are posted throughout the city. Luckily, they're all within a 10-mile radius of our campus, which gives you easy access. Worcester is definitely one of those cities that is in, I want to say, in progress of revitalization. So money is definitely being placed back into Worcester because of all of the colleges and universities that are here. The city of Worcester are very intentional in making sure that housing opportunities are available, as well as, restaurants, shops, and just businesses are being invested in Worcester. And of course, our school, along with some of the other colleges, there are all kinds of social community opportunities that you will find in this city alone. So if you want to learn more about Worcester, I'm always happy to connect anyone with the Worcester Chamber of Commerce, and they're always happy to speak with anyone that wants to know more about the city. So MCPHS does offer on-campus housing. Although this is a Doctor of Physical Therapy program, which is, of course, a graduate level degree, there is still opportunities for housing. And so all of our housing opportunities are a mixture of studios, suites, and condos, and they're all in close proximity to your classes. We do offer a 24-hour access to the fitness center. Within our campus, you'll find cafes as well as study spaces, computer labs, and our apartments are competitively priced. So what we did was we took a look at housing opportunities in the city of Worcester and decided what would be a really great rent to offer that is competitive and on the lower end. And so you'll find that our housing rates are definitely on the lower end when it comes to real estate. Financial aid recipients may utilize part of their aid towards the cost of rent. All of our units come fully furnished, so you don't have to worry about carrying a couch and table and bed framings on your back as you're moving into your housing units. Rent is charged once a semester to the student account. And yeah, if you want to learn more about housing, just let me know. I can always put you in touch with our resident life representatives, and we can definitely have that conversation with you. But I want to emphasize that housing is available to every student. Which leads us to getting into more of the institution and what we consider is that determining factor that sort of sets us apart. So you're going to hear the word interprofessional education brought up quite a bit, especially when Dr. Ridingsworth begins to talk more about the program. But basically, what that is a collaborative program that brings together students and faculty from different disciplines, schools, and campuses to teach and learn from one another. It is a phenomenal program where it gives you the tools of how to collaborate and communicate with people in different health sciences field, especially if you all are working on one patient. So faculty and facilities, right now we have about 826 faculty members. 90% of all of our full-time faculty hold terminal degrees in their fields with state-of-the-art facilities. And now that you've heard enough about me and you're like, okay, Tammy, we're done with you. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. I am going to turn this section of the presentation over to Dr. Ridingsworth, where she'll talk more specifically about the structure of the program. All right.
All right, so we'll start this part of the talk with a little bit of a discussion of the philosophy of our program. And I'll be honest with you that this is something that we in the faculty talk about quite a bit as we try to really stay contemporary and relevant and create the best education that we can for students who choose to come to see us. We know you have a lot of choice. We know that PT school is rigorous. We know that it's competitive. But those who chose to come here, we really want to give you the best of what we have to offer. So you can see here how we sort of conceptualize the philosophy of our program. And at the center of it is our goal of creating a successful clinician. We don't want you just to pass some tests and pass the exam. We want you to demonstrate success in clinical decision-making, clinical reasoning. We want you to learn from the community that you'll be surrounded by, both interprofessionally and within your cohort. And we always strive to keep our curriculum as up to date as we can. Do you want to advance, Tammy?
Okay.
There we go. Thank you. So we are actually in the process, it's an exciting time here in our program. We're in the process of revising, doing a major revision of our curriculum. So going forward, our content will be far more integrated than it has been, and we will get people really learning assessment and intervention skills from day one. It used to be that we did sort of a foundational year, and then we got into the good stuff in the second year, and now we're going to jump right in. We're going to start teaching you how to assess and treat and think critically about the patients that you're working with. We will still follow a progression of starting with more musculoskeletal type diagnoses and working our way up through the complexity of body systems, but recognizing that none of our patients are coming to us with a body system that's impaired in isolation. And so we'll be doing early integration of more complex case management. One of the biggest strengths of our program is the early integrated, and that will not change. That will begin your first semester, first year. Typically, you are out on a clinical placement by about week 3, working directly with patients. And we'll talk a little bit more about that clinical education program as we move through my portion of this presentation. Our goal is to give you knowledge that you will apply. All right, not just memorizing a list of facts, but how do we really start to understand this material, reflect on our own knowledge, reflect on our own growth, and use that reflection to drive our continued learning. We have 2 years of didactic classwork. It's 3 or 8 semesters. It's a year-round program. So fall, spring, summer, year 1, fall, spring, summer, year 2. Your third year is full-time clinical education. We offer 3 10-week clinical education placements. Those sites will vary, and you work closely with our clinical education team to meet the requirements of clinical education, as well as find sites that really excite you and will help you on your growth towards being that successful clinician. If you want to skip ahead. Okay. As I said, we know that PT school is rigorous. We know that you are embarking on a really important journey, but it's going to come with a lot of potential struggles along the way. So we've really worked hard, both as a program and with the university at large, to help create as much support as we can. And we like to conceptualize, again, this support is there for your growth. We know that everybody will struggle, but we know that we learn through our struggles. So some of the ways in which we offer support, you're assigned a faculty coach. That typically begins before you even set foot on campus. You're assigned a coach, we reach out to you, we start to get to know you over email, so that when you step foot on campus, there's a familiar name, if not a familiar face. We continue to work with you as a coach throughout your time here, offering guidance on study strategies, on clinical placements, on potentially just life, right? Because life happens even when we're in graduate school, as much as we wish we could put it on hold. We offer both professional and peer tutors. Our professional tutors are often graduates of the program. All of them are licensed clinicians out in full-time clinical practice, and they come back and work with our students. When we have those professional tutors who are former students or graduates, they offer such a great insight on what the experience of being a student here is, and they sort of show you that light at the end of the tunnel, that you will get there and be successful. And we do offer peer tutors as well. And I love this part of our program. The peer tutors are from the class above you. And because our classes are such small size, we intentionally cap our student groups or our cohort right around 40. And that allows for the two cohorts on campus to really get to know each other. So our second year students act as peer tutors for our first year students, and are typically assigned to a course in which they were successful or felt that that content really resonated with them, and they're able to share their passion and excitement for that content area with you and help explain things in a way that your faculty member might not be able to, and hopefully make it a little bit more meaningful to you. One thing that's new this year, our second year group created a student support group that they're affectionately referring to as their flocks, after the fact that our mascot for the university is the cardinal. These flocks are kind of informal groupings of second and first year students. We've got a picture of one of our recent flocks. And this is a great, more sort of social gathering where, again, giving some familiar faces when you're new on campus and perhaps feeling overwhelmed by graduate learning and all the technology and living in a new city or state. The flocks, I think, are going to be such a great resource for our incoming students. We also have a number of adjunct faculty who will teach with us in our labs. They'll teach with us during our open lab times. Again, licensed clinicians, many of them are graduates and are available to you as kind of academic tutors as well. And then finally, we are adopting this kind of concept of grading for growth. So rather than you turned in an assignment, you got a grade, we move on, we move forward. You don't like that grade. You feel like you could have done a little bit better. You take the feedback that we give you on that assignment and you try again. And we continue to allow you to have these opportunities to learn from your mistakes on different types of assessments. Certainly not on every single one, but the idea that we want to be non-punitive in our approach to grading, that we want to give feedback that you will be able to take and reflect on and learn from and apply to that same assignment, to apply to the next assignment, to continue to improve your performance.
Right.
And because it has to be said, at the end of the journey is, of course, the national licensing exam. This is sort of the final test before you go off to become a practicing clinician. And we've made a real concerted effort as a program to help students prepare for this, really beginning in semester one. All the faculty write course exams that are in the same style as the National Physical Therapy Examination. So they're multiple choice, case-based questions, very thought-provoking, helping you move beyond the idea of memorization of facts to integrating knowledge and applying it in a multiple choice scenario. So you get that experience right from the beginning. We've also instituted comprehensive exams that will occur every other semester that encourage you to really continue to study that material and bring it all forward. Our program really builds upon itself. Undergraduate school, perhaps you take a couple courses in one semester, you put them away, you move on to the next one. Our program builds all that knowledge, builds upon itself, and has to be carried with you. So these comprehensive exams sort of force you to keep current with what you're studying, and really help you draw all that content forward and recognize that it all connects in the end. In your final on-campus year, we do start to offer different full-length practice exams that are kind of sanctioned through different board preparation programs. And then in your final semester prior to graduation, we have a 15-week content review that we offer. And then throughout this, there's available resources like study apps that our students will download, different podcasts that they listen to, that just start to help you get your mindset focused on, how do I study? How do I prepare? How do I take everything that I'm learning and apply it in this very formalized, multiple choice kind of style? And then, like any large university, we do offer university level supports for both academics and for career preparation. We have an office that helps with setting you up with peer mentoring and academic coaching, can assist with learning strategies if that's an area where we're struggling. And then we have our Office of Student Access and Accommodations to help out with those who might need a little bit more time or a different environment when they're going through their assessments. And then once we're at that point of we've passed our exam and we're ready to get a job, we continue to support you with an annual residency and fellowship panel where we kind of introduce you to your options post-graduation. And then there's an annual career fair, and many of our clinical partners will come in, meet with students, interview them on campus, and a lot of our students will end up with job offers from their clinical sites that way. So I've mentioned our integrated clinical education, and it begins year one. It runs in the fall and spring of year one, and the fall, spring, and summer of year two. And it really follows two different tracks. One track is more observation based. We will place you in a wide variety of settings and allow you to observe the experts out there working with patients with brain injuries, patients who've had other neurologic dysfunctions, patients in the ICU, patients in the hospital. You can see off to the side of that slide the different local centers where we send people. If anybody's familiar with the area, you'll see the variety of inpatient rehab to acute care hospitals to outpatient practice. At the same time that students are doing observation-based clinical placements, they're also doing application-based clinical placements where you are the one delivering the care. And as I mentioned, that begins by week 3. We send you off to sites where you'll be able to start to practice the skills that you're learning, very appropriate to your level of education. We're not going to ask you to go into the ICU and conduct an evaluation, but we will let you start to practice some of your range of motion, some of your soft tissue skills, some of your mobility skills. We have a strong emphasis on learning and perfecting vital signs, and that's something that you'll be applying in your clinical placements from day one. Part of our integrated clinical education, and this is really our pride and joy here, is our on-campus balance movement and wellness center. This is our flagship pro bono clinic. It's really helps to promote the kind of mentoring between our first and second year students. Our second year students are involved in guiding the first years, performing patient evaluations, designing and implementing plans of care. Our patient population, as you can see in this photo, they're real people in the community. Many of them come to BMW session after session because they get such a good benefit out of working with our students. Many of them have had neurological or other types of kind of insults to their system and maybe no longer really need outpatient physical therapy, but still benefit from that skilled oversight of exercise programs. So it's a great learning experience on both sides. The patients are teaching the students are teaching the patients, and it's such a fun environment where the students are getting to practice the things in real time that they're learning in their coursework at the same time. You are not there on your own, certainly. We have clinical faculty that provide oversight and mentoring, and our core faculty also make surprise appearances to come in, offer suggestions, challenge your thinking a little bit. Why are you trying to do this? What do you think about approaching your patient this way? And again, helping you to really integrate and apply everything that you're learning. The other component of the BMW Center is that it does integrate back into the curriculum. So not only are students practicing what they're learning in the curriculum as far as assessment and intervention techniques, they also put together a research presentation based off of their participant, off of one of the participants that they've worked with. They conduct outcome assessments, they set goals, they monitor patient progress, and then they, at the end of their second spring, pull together a research poster presentation where they get to now integrate the evidence-based practice track of physical therapy education, learning to understand and utilize the literature. They do that with their participant and get the practice of presenting their patient to their classmates and the class below them. This slide really just shows some fun photos of our on-campus simulation lab. Again, because we are a healthcare university and have the benefit of the exposure to all different types of healthcare disciplines, we have a nursing program here on campus, and they have this fantastic simulation lab that our students get access to kind of test out what is it like to be in the acute care environment? What's it like to deal with different lines and tubes? What's it like to get patients in and out of hospital beds and deal with complex case management? That environment can be a little bit intimidating for many people, and we find that getting to practice in the simulation lab really helps take some of that anxiety out of it. I love it. It's my cup of tea, is where my clinical practice was centered, so I love hanging out in there with the students. All right, and again, interprofessional education, as Tammy mentioned earlier in the presentation, this is another real strong point of our program. We really take advantage of the fact that we have on-campus dental hygiene, optometry, physician's assistant, nursing, pharmacy, acupuncture. I mean, the list goes on and on. And there are events throughout the year, every year, that allow students to learn with, from, and about each other across the disciplines. Some of them are volunteer opportunities, some of them are embedded within courses, and others are really large-scale programs where a bunch of programs come together. I'm fortunate enough that 2 of the courses that I teach have these interprofessional education events as part of the content that I cover. One of them is in our geriatric patient management. You can see in that bottom photo, students putting on dark glasses and gloves. What we're trying to do there is help them simulate what it's like to live life with symptoms of dementia, and how do we go through the world. And they work together with pharmacy students on this. We also do an annual book club that's enrolled in one of my classes. That helps to kind of bring up this concept of cultural humility. How do we approach patients to meet them where they are, recognizing that everybody comes with a different lived experience? And community service. I had mentioned community learning, right? Part of the community is your cohort, the cohort above you, the cohort eventually behind you. Part of the community is this interprofessional collaboration, but part of it is also giving back to the community. We are ambassadors of our profession, both here in Worcester and in the state of Massachusetts, and our students are always on the lookout for new ways to give back. We have a PT-led service club that allows students to kind of bring forward ideas that they have. So in the last few years, our students have worked together to volunteer at the Boston Marathon, handing out water. We also have some partnered organizations. In that top left photo, you see a picture of some of our students at a place called Camp No Limits, where they work with children who experience limb loss or potentially are prosthetic wearers. And they have such a great time learning from them and teaching them how to engage in life with these, kind of different mobility characteristics. And then research integration. So I mentioned the evidence-based practice track that kind of follows you throughout the program. That's where you learn to critically appraise and understand the literature. And eventually, we want you to start to give back. We want our students to start to engage in the research. All of our faculty here have their own research agenda, and students quite frequently work with faculty on their research projects if there's something that strikes their passion. They're also welcome to develop their own research proposal and pursue projects. And so you can see some photos of our students presenting at our University Scholarship Day, a couple years back presenting at our national conference in San Diego, and then students doing some data collection with the local university baseball team. In the end, everybody wants to know, well, why should I pick this program, right? Assuming you've got all sorts of choices, why would you choose to come here? We're really proud of our outcomes. We have high student retention and high pass rates for the exam, which in the end is kind of where we're all headed. We also have extremely high employment rates, as Tammy mentioned. Many of our graduates will go on to do clinical residencies and fellowships working towards specialty practice in one of the profession specialties. And again, many of our graduates go on to become independent business owners and maintain a relationship with the university to be there as guides if that's something that you're interested in. Our graduates really are leaders within the national physical therapy community, and we're so lucky that so many of them come back to become both clinical educators at local sites as well as adjunct faculty here in the program.
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Ridingsworth. That was all such valuable information. I know Dr. Ridingsworth does have to step away. So if there's any questions that you have specifically related to the program or anything for Dr. Ridingsworth, please, now is definitely the time to put them in the Q&A section of the down at the bottom of the screen, and we can definitely address those questions for you before she heads out. So I'm looking and I don't see any questions yet. That must mean you did such a fantastic job. Like you just
I certainly know how to talk. So.
Right, right. Well, if there aren't any more questions at this time, we'll go ahead and let you go, Dr. Ridingsworth. But again, we want to thank you so much for spending time with us and talking about the program and how it's structured, and hope to hear from you soon.
Pleasure. And if anybody comes up with a question later, feel free to reach out to me over email. All right.
I
Have a great
will.
afternoon.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and continue on with the remaining parts of the presentation. So right now, this is basically how to start the application. So when you are ready to apply, you definitely want to get in touch with PTCAS. And that PT stands for Physical Therapy Centralized Application System. And they are the company that takes all of your documents and verifies everything for us. So MCPHS does not take your transcripts. We don't take any documentation. Everything goes through PTCAS. So you either need to have a bachelor's degree already earned, or you're going to be graduating with your bachelor's degree before the program begins. All official college transcripts needs to be sent to PTCAS. So if you went to 8 different colleges or universities, all 8 of those official transcripts need to be submitted. So we want to see transcripts from every college that you've attended, even if you didn't graduate from that college. We look for a minimum overall GPA of 3.0 on a 4.0 scale. Keep in mind that your GPA is averaged by PTCAS. So PTCAS is going to look at your transcripts and they are going to come up with a cumulative GPA. I do want to let you know that PTCAS includes all retakes in your cumulative GPA. So for example, let's say you took biology and maybe you made a D, and then you took biology again and you made an A. PTCAS is going to average in that D as well as that A in your cumulative GPA. So I always like to explain that part. We like to see at least 10 hours of PT shadowing. Keep in mind that it just needs to be shadowing or observation. You do not have to have clinical or client-based interaction. We just want to make sure that you are getting observations in a PT setting. You want to make sure that those hours are submitted into your application when you apply. And when it comes to the prerequisites, you don't have to have all prerequisites completed before you apply. However, we like to see at least more than half completed on your application. So when you apply, if I'm seeing that there's more than half prerequisites that are missing, typically what we do is we take your application and we put it on hold. And we say to you, we want you to continue working on prerequisites and we want you to show us progress. Once you're able to do that, then you send us the transcript, we update your prerequisites, and then we can move forward with your application. So if you're not sure about what prerequisites are missing, what prerequisites we can take, you can always email me your unofficial transcript and I can evaluate your transcripts for you. And I will let you know what courses you need to take. Also, keep in mind that MCPHS also offers prerequisites online. They are self-paced, asynchronous courses. And so it's really convenient to take prerequisites through us. So that way you don't have to worry about sending us a transcript from an outside institution. When it comes to letters of recommendation, 2 are mandatory, but we do prefer 3. And make sure that you at least have one of your letters of recommendation from a licensed physical therapist. And if you took courses outside of the United States, you will need to complete what's called a WES evaluation. That's World Education Services. And what they will do is take a look at your transcript and do a course by course analysis to let us know what your grades are equivalent to here in the United States. And once I receive your full completed application and I determine that you are a qualified candidate, then the next step is to invite you to an interview. And the interview process is really just you having an opportunity to meet with a member of the faculty. It's a one-on-one conversation on Zoom. And it just gives us a chance to meet who you are behind the application. We want to get to know you as a person. And then we also want to give you the opportunity to get to know us. So it's not even really an interview. It's more like a dialogue, but it's us asking you questions and then you asking us questions as well. And then once that interview process is finished, then within a week or so, up to maybe 2 weeks is when you'll get your admissions decision. And that will come from me in the form of an email and a phone call. So that just kind of lets you know what we're looking for as far as application. The GRE is not required for MCPHS, so you do not need to take that exam to be considered as an applicant. So we are on rolling admissions. So PT-CAS applications are open. They have been open, I believe, since July or maybe June of this year. So you definitely want to apply early. As Dr. Ridingsworth mentioned, we have a smaller cohort here where we accept anywhere from 40, maybe up to 45 students. So you definitely want to get the PT-CAS application in as soon as possible. If you're wanting to know what makes a competitive application, definitely you want to have a strong cumulative GPA, 3.0 or higher. You also want to have a strong prerequisite GPA. The prerequisite GPA is important because it lets us know your foundational skill set, because your prerequisites are the foundational knowledge and skill set that you will need for PT school. And then we want to make sure that you're able to tell us about your interest, your experiences, what motivates you, not only in your personal statement, but also be ready to share that in an interview. And make sure that your interview process is strong, that you have presented yourself in a confident manner, you've done your research on MCPHS, and you have a really good idea of how our program is structured. And then even if you schedule a campus visit, that lets us know that you're really interested in learning more about us because you've been to our campus, you've had a chance to see our Balance Movement and Wellness Pro Bono Clinic. And those sort of things just makes your application stand out that much more. Now, as it relates to financial aid, all domestic students with a valid FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, can be on file to be considered for federal aid. We do offer merit scholarships to everyone that's accepted into the program, up to $7,000 a year. And we always encourage students to schedule what's called an affordability appointment. So Lynn Berry is the Student Financial Services Officer who works with our PT students. And so if you are accepted into the program, you want to schedule a one-on-one appointment with Lynn, and he will talk with you about your tuition, about all of the fees that are included, if there are any, which isn't much, and then your merit scholarship and other payment options that you have with us. So that's a very important appointment. And I am so excited that I hope to welcome you to our community. This is my contact information if you do not have it. This is my email address, so be sure to write that down or take a photo. And then either one of these phone numbers will reach me. You can dial either one if you need to talk with me on the phone. If you want to schedule a counselor appointment, you can definitely send me an email and I can let you know the directions for how to do that as well. And I definitely want to recommend that you follow us on Instagram. This is our MCPHS name on our Instagram site. We also have a YouTube channel called MCPHS TV. I want to recommend that you go on there and you will find physical therapy information sessions, videos about our program, information about our school in general will all be located there. And that is pretty much the end of my presentation. Does anyone have any questions? Now, I know that our students were supposed to join us, our student ambassadors. Unfortunately, they are running a little late, so I don't think they will be here, from my understanding, anytime soon. So this is what I will do. If you happen to have a question for a potential or a current student, sorry, if you can put that question in the Q&A, and then I will pass that question on to our student ambassador, and then they could let me know the answer and I could forward it on to you. If you don't have any more questions and you're all set, then you're definitely free to leave. But I'm willing to hang around if anyone has any questions that they have either for me or for our student ambassadors. If not, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. We will have other information sessions coming up throughout the fall, one on October 9th and November 6th. This one is also recorded. So if you would like a copy of this information session, please send me an email, again, at my email address, and I will definitely send this out to you. But if not, have a good night, have a good evening, and please be safe.